Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Ashley, co-founder and CEO, president extraordinaire of the ShareLove.Fund.
Yeah.
That's the logo. And I am Peter, and you'll see me on camera in a minute. We're going to do anatomy for mountain pose.
So, this is our friend.
That's Mr. Bones. That's Ashley's best friend.
So, get ready for mountain pose. I'm going to get the blocks out of the way, but when we need them, you can let me know.
Great. So with mountain pose, I'm going to talk Ashley through the posture first, and then I will come over and explain what's going on with the skeleton and explain the bones are involved and the muscles are involved. Just know that in every posture that we do in yoga, 100% of your muscles are involved. They're either contracting or they're stretching, or contracting or eccentrically contracting. Every single muscle is working in every posture. That's the beauty of yoga. Okay, so Ashley, from here, begin to lift the crown of the head toward the sky. And then from here, you'll begin to bring attention to your feet. So shift your weight forward and back to your tippy toes, to your heels, shift tippy toes to your heels. Good, get the feet stretched out. By the way, mountain pose is the most important posture in yoga. Why? Because it keeps our body straight or erect. It keeps our spine straight. And that's the beauty of yoga. It works on the spine. It uses gravity. We use gravity, our body weight against gravity, to create strength and stretch in our spine and spinal health. So after you ground down through your feet, begin to lift your toes ever so slightly. And then press the toes down and then find a comfortable spot. And let's draw attention to your knees. You want to soften the knees, not necessarily bend them, just a softening so that you're not hyperextending or locking them out. And let's draw attention to our pelvis, our sacrum. We're going to place one hand on our pelvis, one hand on our sacrum, and we're going to press the hips down. We're going to press the sacrum down. Good. That drops your sacrum down like your tailbone. Drops it down, and at the same time, you have to pull your belly in and up. And let's draw attention to our chest, our sternum. Let's have the arms come alongside of us. And let's lift the crown again. Tuck the chin back. Create length in our spine. And let's have the palms face the front. This is mountain pose. So every single muscle that's working here, mountain pose, are your calf muscles to sustain the lower leg. Hamstrings and glutes are engaged to support your legs, your front of your legs and back of your legs, or to support your femur, which we'll go over in a moment. Your glutes are working, your hips are working to stabilize you. Your belly is pulled in, and you're working your core to support your spine, spinal health. Your chest is open, so it's a gentle stretch of your chest. The back body's working, so your upper back, neck, and shoulders, rhomboids are working. They're contracted, pulled in. Your glutes are contracted. Your thighs are stretched. And your neck muscles are working to support your head. All those thoughts. And then I'll ask Ashley to close her eyes. And notice, as soon as she closes her eyes, there's a gentle sway. A gentle sway. And in this mountain pose, which I always say is the most important posture in yoga, what I'll have Ashley do is face the camera now, so that we can just go over, Ashley is in her mountain pose, she's perfect in her mountain pose. So we're gonna do a quick, just getting her back in with anatomy. So Ashley, let's ground ourselves down to the feet. Why don't you take your socks off so that they can see your toes in the camera.
Getting uncovered here.
Yeah.
It's not still G-rated.
All right, so feet are hip width apart. Shift your weight forward into your toes, shift your weight back into your heels. Lift your toes, plant your heels down. Now, lower the toes down. Squeeze your inner thighs in towards one another to engage your inner thighs and pelvic floor. That also engages your lower abdomen. Now from here, Take one hand on your belly, one hand on your sacrum. Press your tailbone down, and I'll do the sacrum part. Press your tailbone down. Pull the belly in and up. So Ashley's demonstrating pulling the belly in and up, and I'm demonstrating pressing our sacrum down. Now from here, let's draw attention to the chest. We didn't have her do this before. Let's take one hand on the heart, right above the chest. And it's lift up through the heart, not out, just lift up through the heart. Take one hand on the chin, tuck the chin back as you lengthen the crown. Lengthen through the crown of the head. So you're making your cervical spine, neck spine long by doing that. This is how it looks from the front. This is how it looks from the side. And then let's allow the arms to rest alongside us, palms facing forward. So this is the palms facing forward. See, Ashley's chest is open, stretched through the shoulders. You can see that right there. And what happens on the back side is that it's a gentle pull. So you can see a gentle pull of my shoulder blades coming in towards one another. And then from here, we have to readjust our abdomen again because we begin to lose that area. So you have to pull the belly in and up, drop your sacrum down. So it's constant adjustments. And then I'm going to ask Ashley to press the top of her head into my hand. And I'm going to ask her to close her eyes or have a soft gaze. So on the front side, her abdominal muscles are working, her oblique muscles are working, rectus abdominis, obliques, quadriceps, thighs. Lower leg, you have your tibialis. Behind, you have your gastrocs or calf muscles, hamstrings. You have your glutes, glute maximus, medius, and minimus. Those are your glute muscles. And then in the upper back, you have your rhomboids. You have your lats to support rhomboids as well. Trap muscles that start at the back of the head and they work their way into the mid-back. They stabilize the lower part of your shoulder blade or scapula, which I'll go over in a minute. And then they come down into the middle of the back. And then you have your pec muscles that she's stretching at, her pec muscles opening up nice and wide. And the pec muscles start the outer edge they attach to the arm. They attach to what's called the humerus. They attach to that, and then they attach to the sternum as well. There's a whole bunch of other little muscles in there too, but not needed for our purposes here in yoga. Her biceps, triceps are working, and her forearm muscles are working. There's a lot of little muscles in the forearms and arms. And then here she has a lot of neck muscles that are working too. You have scalenes that are working. You have, right in the front here's a muscle called SCM, sternocleidomastoid. And then she's smiling a lot. That's her masseter muscles working right here. It's the most powerful muscle in the body, pound for pound. Think about we chew meat, right? We have to rip it. We chew. This muscle right here is if not the most powerful muscle in the body, pound for pound. So then from here, close your eyes again, Ashley. Press the top of the head up toward the sky. And then pull the belly in and up. And then tuck the chin back, tuck the chest back. Yes. And then just hang here for a few moments. Just going to bring the skeleton forward just a bit. Actually, I'm going to turn it sideways. So in mountain pose, this is what it looks like from the front. This is what it looks like from the side. This is what our bones look like. We have our rib cage muscles, right? What are they? Rib cage muscles are called what? Intercostals. We have our ribs. We have here our clavicles, right? Collarbones, clavicles. Your feet, your humerus. This bone here, it's a big bone, the humerus. You have on the outer edge of your arm, you have your ulnar. The inner is your radius, right? You have your joint, elbow joint here. This is the head of the humerus. You ever hear funny bone? Oh, you hit your funny bone? That's why it's called humerus. Humerus. Then from here, you have your skull or the crown. You have your scapula. Our scapula moves. This guy's scapula doesn't. They fixed him in place. So the scapula moves in and out. It retracts and protracts. This is retraction. So can you turn around actually? Hold the hair up a little.
Yeah, I can put my hair. So I'm not gonna shave my head like I'm not gonna take Peter's lead on that,
Oh, man.
but I'll tie it up. So yoga is about compromise.
Okay, so see, watch the shoulder blades retract, right? And then protract, right? They retract and protract. Awesome, thank you for that, Ashley. And then from here, you have your cervical or neck spine, C1 through 7. You have your thoracic spine that comes around, T1 through T12. You have your lumbar spine that curves inward, L1 through L5. Then you have your sacrum, which is fused for most of us, S1 through S4. And then you have your coccyx, little tailbone, so we can shake our tail, we can dance a little bit. And then you have your pelvis. This is your pelvis. There's a whole bunch of muscles in here, pelvic floor muscles. And then you have your pelvis. You have, under here, you have organs, your heart, you have your liver, your lungs, you have your stomach, your spleen, all housed and protected by your rib cage and other muscles. Your abdominal muscle, rectus, starts here and works its way down to the top of the pubic bone. So if this had a pubic bone, which would be right in front here, your rectus, or the one that everybody sees, the washboard abs, literally attaches right to your sternum, through this part of the ribs, and then down and attaches right to the top of your pubic bone. That's how that works. And then from here, let's go over the hip bones. There's a muscle that attaches, where most of us have back problems, most of us that sit all day. There's a muscle that attaches called hip flexor. It's your hip flexor or psoas. Attaches to the front of your spine. Think about your belly button, 2 inches off the belly button. And then it goes in and it becomes iliopsoas because you have another muscle in here in your hip called iliacus. And then it comes directly down into the groin and attaches to your thigh bone, the inner part of your thighs. The inner part. Very, very difficult to demonstrate. I'm just going to get a yoga strap to demonstrate this. It literally, it's a very thick muscle. It literally looks like this. It attaches and looks like this to the inner thigh.
So when people say that they've pulled their groin, is that the muscle? No.
It could be.
Okay.
It could be. If they pull their groin and they feel it working up into their abdomen a little,
Oh, I see.
it might be the hip flexor, but it also could be a labrum. I'll go over that in a minute. But that's a great question.
And as instructors, we're not doctors, so when you have a student, because this is a yoga teacher training, when you have a student, it's not your job to diagnose what they have. It is your job to require them to give a medical disclosure and to be aware of limits, like when you shouldn't be teaching someone, when someone appears to be at risk, when you think that someone should seek medical advice, but not to actually diagnose the medical advice.
Exactly. We're not here to diagnose. There's Google for that, or WebMD, right, for that stuff, where people can self-diagnose. I'm a massage therapist by trade, and I still don't diagnose. And I say, it might be, I don't know. What are your symptoms? What's going on? So I go a little bit further than we would as a yoga teacher. And then when I teach yoga classes, I mostly do private lessons. I always ask, like, so where are you feeling that? Tell me what that feels like. When did this come about? You know, if it's the left side, when you get out of a car and you put weight on it, how does that feel? Do you feel like a sharp pain into the groin? It could be a whole host of things. It could be a groin tear. It could be at the beginning of hernia. It could be a labral tear. There's so many things that go on, so we're not here to diagnose. They need imaging, they need physical therapy perhaps, but there's many ways yoga can help, as long as we know what the diagnosis is, okay?
So it's just like to put it in context, so for yoga teacher training, we're really just trying to understand how the muscles work in the body so we can provide good workouts and understand what we're actually working out. So it's more like in a fitness.
We're into injury prevention, right?
Oh, and injury.
In injury prevention. So if a person comes in with injuries, you just say to them, oh, you know, I pulled my groin, whatever. Okay, maybe hip openers aren't for you. So I wouldn't do pigeon pose. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do There's certain poses that I wouldn't do as hip openers that are gonna keep further stretching and damaging this. Although it might feel good in the moment, you don't wanna if a person has a tear through here, you don't wanna stretch the leg out, because this is gonna go with it. What happens, like a rubber band, it just keeps fraying.
So this is great how we're going pose by pose and talking about the muscles used, because you know, I wouldn't have thought, oh, if someone has a growing issue, not to, you know, tell them, oh, really activate this in mountain pose. And so now we kind of have an idea of what's going on in mountain pose. If someone comes in, they say, I have this injury, then we can pick and choose the poses or modifications.
Exactly. Mountain pose is amazing and safe for a pose like this.
Yeah.
Amazing and safe. And so is Warrior One, so is Triangle. There's a lot of poses that are great that you can do with a groin tear. That is very supportive. Chair pose is amazing. I wouldn't have them do flows, a lot of flows. Up dog is amazing. Down dog is amazing. So you see what I'm saying? Staying linear.
Yeah.
Staying linear. Nothing out to the side, nothing off the midline. You understand? Like Malasana is not good. This is not a good pose for them. That's another. We'll get to that.
Okay,
So good question. Good
it's
question.
good to think about it as like linear poses.
Linear
I think
poses.
that's a great way to
Yes.
help retain the anatomy.
Warrior One, high lunge. If Warrior One bothers them, right? Because sorry to get a little ahead. If Warrior One bothers them while they're here, high lunge. So many different ways it can work. You just have to almost think on your feet. That's why, as a yoga teacher, the most important thing you can do for yourself is develop a home practice. If you're not developing a home practice, not in the practice, you shouldn't be teaching. And I mean that. You shouldn't be teaching. The best teacher teaches from their frame of reference. The best teachers do that. Because you know, you've been through it, you're on the mat, you're doing your R&D for yourself, taking yourself through certain things so that you can uncover and figure out like, oh, this is what it feels like. That's what it feels like. This is how it should be. This is how it works for me. I have a bad shoulder. Oh, so you know what? I have somebody coming with a bad shoulder. This is how it's going to probably work for them. Because not one of us, there are no two people that are the same. And there are no two injuries that are the same. So the way we teach here is safe, efficient, injury prevention, not to exacerbate things. And then have people stand on the head. I'm just teasing.
And this was not a former student. This is a plastic guy.
No, this was a former student. He donated his bones to us, or her bones. All right, so let's move on. So this is your femur, the most powerful bone in the body, strongest. It has a head, and then your pelvis, the side of it, has a socket. The femur, the head of the femur goes into the socket. There's cartilage here to support this. There's a labrum, there's a bursa here, right? And if our muscles are nice and strong and powerful to support this, and we can move this, that's how you lubricate your joint. By movement. Sedentary, when you're sedentary, you're not lubricating your joints. What you're doing is you're causing them to dry out. One very important thing for spinal health is movement and hydration. Water, 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 water. Not coffee at your yoga mat, water. When I teach, I don't allow my students to have their coffee at their water mat. It's water. Why? Just in case it spills on the floor. Right, that's one thing. So you want to prevent anyone spilling anything on your floor. Two, water is just so much more hydrating and much more nourishing. You're dehydrating if you're drinking coffee during your yoga class. We're not into dehydration, we're into hydration. It's a whole nother level. All right, you have your lower legs, you have your tibia, fibula, then you have your ankle, you have your calcaneus or heel, then you have your metatarsals, right here, metatarsals. There's a whole bunch of other little bones in here, we won't go over those. I didn't discuss the hand. You have your wrist, obviously. Wrist does many things, almost does like a 360, right? Then you have your metacarpals. Metacarpals, all right? Those are all these little bones in here, and there's a lot of them. As a yoga teacher, you don't need to know every single bone and every single nuance. If you want to, that's a further study of yourself. I did that on myself. When I took yoga, They went over the majority and the major bones and muscles, and then I wanted to learn the little nuances. Also, because I'm a massage therapist and an anatomy geek, I learned everything about every muscle and bone possible and why. Why they work the way they do and how they work together. Why? Because my life's goal is to just keep studying the human body. I've been doing that since I was a kid, and I just love every aspect of it. Never wanted to be a doctor though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's Tadasana. So let's come into Tadasana one more time, Ashley. Standing, zipping up through the crown of the head. Dropping the sacrum down. I'm just going to lift this a little so you can see how her feet, just lift your toes. Good, see how her toes are lifted. She's shifting her weight into her heels. Your way back, and then you can see the calf muscle working right here too. Okay, I just wanted to show that. So her feet are red to support her. She's squeezing her thighs in together. And then the hamstrings are working, so they're on. Quads are working, her glutes are working. Upper back is working. This is all contracted. All this is contracted. She's going to pull the belly in. She's going to drop her sacrum down. She's going to pull that belly in. She's going to lift the crown of the head. Good. That gives space in this area. Triceps are relaxed. Palms are facing forward. Chest is nice and open. Ready to receive this day. 2 minutes of Tadasana a day is a yogi joke. Keeps the doctor away. And 2 minutes of Tadasana every single day also is great for your posture. Great to begin a meditation practice. And also really, really great to just explore the inner workings of your body. So Ashley, thank you very much. It's been great to guide you into mountain pose, using all of the muscles and explaining the bones. And we will see you soon for Uttanasana.
Namaste.
Namaste.